Hey everyone. So I made some posts um, earlier, or a post, and I wanted to go a little bit deeper about what that post was getting at. And in that post, or real story, uh, I basically just shared this story. That was really it. So, in case you happen to make the choice where you're going on my YouTube channel and seeing this video and you have not seen my other posts, I'm going to start off by just reading the story. So the story is, or I would say, has probably appeared in other Tibetan Buddhist books. So I am pulling or using a specific way it is written in a Tibetan Buddhist book I have. And if you want to know the name of the book, then feel free to reach out to me, and I'm happy to share the name of the book. So, the story goes. There was once a Tibetan Geshe called Geshe bin Gungyal who used to spend all his time in his room doing no meditation in the traditional posture and reciting no prayers. His unorthodoxy attracted attention, and others asked him, "You do not recite prayers and do not meditate in the usual way. So what do you do all day long in your room?" Geshe bin Gungyal replied, "I have only one task. I am thrusting the spear of the opponents into the head of my delusions. When a delusion raises its ugly head, I increase my alertness, and with effort I plunge the spear straight into it. Then it leaves me in peace, and I am happy. This is what I do all day long in my room." The spear of the opponents refers to meditation on emptiness and all other meditations that are specific opponents to delusions. This practice of applying opponents is very extensive. If we neglect it and spend all our time reciting prayers while allowing all sorts of delusion to develop in our mind and remain there, our meditations will be very feeble. And then 13 pages before that story in that book, there is a sentence that I think I really enjoy. Also, bringing back up in my mind whenever I think of this story. And it is over-analysis or untimely analysis induces excessive doubts which interfere with our practice. Now, as I said, this lesson I'm going to go a little bit deeper about, by using myself as an example with that story, some of that stuff that is going on with these earlier posts about the terms hero's journey and ritualistic dancing. So, basically, and some of the stuff it's talking about, I want to be very clear, I am not prepared to teach it yet. Maybe someday I will. I will keep training to eventually reach that point, but I'm not quite there yet. But one big thing I think it's getting at, as far as me walking that line about why I have built this motivational program the way I did, is for roughly 25 years, I've spent the most time as a dancer and percussionist. So, with my motivational program, you can take what you learn as a dancer, like the physical movements, what you learn as a dancer, the physical movements, the frameworks, the basic or the 4 frameworks, I should say. Then the basic framework of the hero's journey, and then that idea that I made the post about is also on my website of that term ritualistic dancing and what it means. And then over time, take that stuff you're learning through dancing and then just putting it into your everyday life. And reaching a point where you don't really have to think that much about your way of doing it. So the dance style you're interested in, whether it's one or more, and then the framework you choose, you can also reach a point like me where you don't necessarily have to think about it too much. Whether you're dancing or taking it into other parts of your life, you can basically just do it and find a balance where you're confident in what you have done with that, but at the same time, you can still be open to suggestions of ways you can improve that dance style. Or, and some of that other stuff that can happen with the idea of ritualistic dancing and a hero's journey. But first, we would just keep it simple, I guess you could say, which is basically just, these are the physical movements, these are the physical movements, and this is a framework you chose, so this is what's going on with the physical and mental things happening with you learning that stuff with dance and how it goes back to that framework. So start off more as just getting some exercise, I guess you could say. So like I said, I'm just giving you all an example, or using myself as an example of how this all works as a motivational program and not necessarily it being just, okay, we're going to learn these dance steps. And part of me using myself as an example, and again, what I've noticed about how like what I go through could work with these frameworks and the ideas of ritualistic dancing and a hero's journey, and how it can still work for you, whatever choice you make with dancing, and then the framework you choose, is because I've spent so long in that, dancing that is, as well as some other practices in the arts, I've been able to learn so much about other cultures. Whether it's, just eventually learning how they live day to day, just kind of their habits day to day, that is, or just some bigger picture stuff. So that basically wraps up this lesson. And I guess you could say this wraps up these 2 parts I've done. These 2 different lessons, which is a 2-part process of using myself as an example to give you a run through of the frameworks I've created and these ideas of a hero's journey and ritualistic dancing, in case you've never didn't know about the hero's journey or ritualistic dancing to give you an idea of my motivational program and how I could easily switch it up to fit, like I said, the framework you choose and the dance style you choose. So, hope you enjoyed, and y'all have a good rest of your day or night.